This video is for anyone who has ever struggled to bring your gifts to the world. For everything under the sun, there is an archetype or a story or a myth that helps us see the way through it. And in this case, the story that I'd like to share with you is the story of Jacob in the Bible. And specifically, the night that Jacob wrestled with the angel. Now, Jacob, we think of these Bible people as old guys with long beards, but I think Jacob probably would have really related to what we're going through right now in society, because his life was actually one with a lot of conflict. Throughout his life, his early life, there was a lot of trickery, a lot of deception, and a lot of conflict. And so we find him here at this point in life where he has indulged in a lot of trickery and deception, and specifically against his brother, from whom he tricked away his birthright, right? All his inheritance and the blessing of his father, right, for the firstborn, which was a big deal back then. And so we find him here at the edge of a river, and he knows that his brother is coming with 400 men after him. And so he has sent his whole family ahead of him, and night falls, and this man appears, and they wrestle until daybreak. Finally, the man sees that he can't overcome Jacob, and he touches Jacob on the hip and wrenches his hip. And Jacob realizes that this is a supernatural being. This is an angel. It's not just any man. And so the angel says, "Let me go." And Jacob says, "No, I won't let you go until you bless me." So in the morning, Jacob limps away from there, and he actually goes on to make peace with his brother. And so what does this have to do with bringing your spiritual gifts in the world? Well, if you think of what the hip represents, okay, the hip cradles the sacral chakra, right? And that is the energy center of our creative power, right? And the hips also represent moving forward and being able to, step forward strongly in the world with purpose, okay? So I think it really does relate to one's purpose. And all of us have come into the world with prior trauma. Even if we don't have a lot of conflict in our own lives, there's so much conflict in the world right now that it's a big deal, right? And so the story contains this key in it, right, of how to move forward even in the face of all this conflict, okay? And so the quality that Jacob shows is this quality of not giving up, of continuing, and it's actually his fighting spirit that actually gets him through it, right? What Jacob does is he just doesn't give up. But notice he didn't overcome the worldly issues that he was dealing with by fighting directly against what was in the world. He overcame it by fighting this angel, okay, which was representing, right, his own inner resistance. There are so many stories that have to do with the guardian at the threshold, okay, and this is this resistance that we have, the inner resistance to doing what our soul wants to do. There is this counter force that wants to keep us there. And I think what the biggest lesson of the story of Jacob for me is not looking at this like some monster out there, but recognizing that there is a divine quality to the resistance that we have. Raise your hand if you've ever really wanted to do something and then you found yourself not doing what you need to do, that you know you need to do in order to be successful, right? It happens to so many of us, and it's part of the journey. It really is. And it's, I've been hearing a lot about psychic attacks and so forth, and yes, we can look at it as there are things out there in the world, spiritual things or whatever else that's trying to hold us back. And maybe there's some truth to that from a certain perspective, but I feel like ultimately it's always within. You always need to look within, and you will find the solutions there. A lot of times, these things from outside manifest themselves at the bidding of our inner resistance, our inner guardian at the threshold. Okay, that is the core of it. That is the ultimate cause of any kind of strife or conflict or obstacles that you come across in life. There's always some kind of connection to the inner world. And I think what the story of Jacob does is it reframes the whole idea of obstacles and adversaries and turns it from something like an enemy to a teacher or somebody who is challenging you in order to help you grow or in order to make sure that you've hit a certain level, that there is something divine within us that wants us to get out there and be very, very powerful. But it's not going to just let us loose, right, without training us. And so we get tested, and we get tested over and over and over and over again. And I think what Jacob shows is just this perseverance. He would not let go. And not only that, but he recognized where the real obstacle was, and that's what he clung to. And he recognized that, that entity, yes, it was an adversary, but it was not evil. It was not the enemy, okay? It was actually something very powerful. So whatever it is you're being called to do, don't give up. Your spiritual gifts are important. You're here to bring them forth in the world, and only you can do it, right? So keep on keeping on. You can do it. So I'd love to hear about your spiritual gifts. What do you feel like you're being called to do in the world? Drop that in the notes below. And while you're there, check out, I've got a couple links. One is for a giveaway. I'm giving away a beautiful piece of art of sacred geometry watercolor, and I'll be announcing the winner for that on October 15th. And you just need to sign up to my art email list, and you'll be entered in that drawing. The other link is for my spiritual community, Spoken Earth Ministries, and we get together for bi-monthly gatherings. And this month in October 2025, we're going to be doing a community oracle reading party, and we'll also be doing a healing circle and guided meditation later this month. So sign up in the description box below, and you'll receive free access to those. And remember, you were born to be free.